on collapse as support columns buckle, surrounding buildings evacuated from
Post-Millennial. A Midtown Manhattan building undergoing a massive apartment conversion remained unstable and at risk of collapsing Tuesday afternoon after officials discovered structural issues inside the property, with Mayor Zoran Mamdani warning New Yorkers to avoid the region. Let's go now to clip number 4.
We're working on the project. The beams were bending, concrete was falling. Walls were collapsing, so I cover the east side of Manhattan for steam fitters. There's local 638, so I came over, make sure not only our members, but every construction worker on site was out of the job. And outside and safe and everything. We made sure everybody was outside. So I don't think anyone's going back in this building for a while. This is not something you typically see in New York City. You have one of the best labor forces in the world. So to have a building have steel bending while it's under construction, to me, it's a lack of vetting your contractors. To me, it's a lack of not picking safety over profits.
Wow. That is quite a statement coming from you, Cliff. This is Jillian. When you arrived on scene this morning, what was your top tier, most urgent priority?
The most urgent priority is to get every construction worker out of that site. And
Crucial beams inside buckling New York City building bending like cigarettes, according to a worker. Okay. Midtown Manhattan building undergoing massive apartment conversion remained unstable and at risk of collapsing. Emergency crews responded shortly before 8 a.m. to 235 East 42nd Street after reports of falling bricks near the former Pfizer headquarters, which is being transformed into a residential complex with more than 1,600 apartments. The fire department said 2 interior support columns were buckling and several upper floors were sagging. A safety manager also reported that a steel beam on the 21st floor had been compromised, according to the Department of Building Records. Mamdani said the situation was still changing as officials worked to stabilize the structure. Since arriving on scene, we have witnessed additional movement in one of the compromised columns, Mamdani said, according to the New York Times. This is a minute-by-minute assessment. Officials created a frozen zone covering 40th through 45th Streets between 1st and 3rd Avenues and urge residents and workers to stay away. I want to encourage New Yorkers to avoid the area, Mamdani said. And look, folks, we got to start getting used to this, okay? I know you're used to living in a country where you can trust people to do the right thing, even if it costs them a little bit, but we're moving into a new world, okay? We can't really do the things that we used to. Y'all remember when that Indian ship accidentally did this instead of this and then knocked down a bridge in Baltimore that still hasn't even begun to be reconstructed? See, we're in a very odd situation now where we're living amongst the ruins, essentially, of a much greater civilization already. We're at the point where the architectural and monumental achievements of our forefathers seem like magic because we've lost the civilizational capacity to do the things we once did. It's like the videos of people going around to state houses built in 1924. And they're going, there's no way human beings built this. Look at the size of this rock. Look at the size of the marble. You're telling me they shipped marble all the way across the country to build a building? That's impossible. It's like, this is our trajectory. This is the way we're headed. Get used to it, folks. Buildings collapsing, bridges going down and never being rebuilt, meltdowns causing blackouts across the board. It's gonna happen, folks. It's not gonna be a big collapse like you see in the movies. It's not gonna be, the purge all of a sudden and everything goes down and everybody goes crazy. But slowly but surely, our ability to uphold the sophisticated and complicated civilization we live in will degrade to the point where collapse is just seen as a regular part of living in America. Sorry, we don't understand how the giants that came before us built this stuff.
Introducing the AquaPure Ultimate Water Filter Shower Head. You're not just drinking tap water, you're showering in it, breathing the steam and soaking your skin in it every day. When you take a hot shower, that hot water opens your pores and That means chlorine, lead, and many other contaminants in your tap water can hit your skin, your hair, and the air you breathe inside your own bathroom. And unlike most shower filters on the market, this has independent third-party testing. SGS testing showed a 95+% lead reduction using the system, over 99% chlorine removal, and many other chemicals. The system installs directly onto a standard shower head. It literally just takes seconds. No plumber, no tools, no modification to your plumbing. Regularly $139. Today you can get it for just $97.99. That's 30% off. VIP members of TheAlexShow.com get it for as low as $69.99. That is beyond a steal. Secure yours now while supplies last at TheAlexShowStore.com. Federal court rules that Amish can be forcibly injected.
Literally calling people Nazis without any sense of irony that this is exactly the behavior that we used to object to the left doing, because not only is it not true, and not only are you assassinating people's character, but you're actually putting people in danger. But when the left does that, we call that rules for radicals, and we acknowledge that this is a very Marxist way to behave, and that we shouldn't be embracing this kind of behavior in this country. Essentially what they've done, okay, I'll tell you something. When they started using that term woke right, like, I don't know, a year ago, 2 years ago, whatever, I kept reading it going like, I don't get it. Like, I'm not a total idiot. Like, I literally don't get what this means. And I kept asking people, like, what do they mean when they say woke right? I'm not getting it. And people would explain it, and I'm like, I still don't get it. And it wasn't until they started turning on me that I realized, like, oh, it doesn't actually mean anything. It's just something that they're making up to try to silence people who are dissenting.
Exactly. A year ago, Netanyahu, in that speech, the first one he gave, we're launching the 8th front in the war, when he's telling all the Zionist, Christian Zionists, he says, we're going to use the term woke Reich, meaning Hitler, on anybody that disagrees with our war. And he's just cold-bloodedly. They know it's not true.
Yeah. And now this has been embraced by a huge sect of the conservative influencer movement. Like you were talking about that post I put out yesterday, a number of large accounts on X, and I'm sure it's more than just the 4 I mentioned, literally writing identical language. And look, okay, it would be one thing if it was White House talking points, if they were all putting out the same messaging about America or President Trump. It's about a foreign country. It's about a foreign government. I mean, they're all working in lockstep and putting out unified messaging about a foreign country. And I'm like, how is this America first? How is this the MAGA movement? Like, what is this? This is nothing like what I signed up for, and nothing like what I lost all of my friends and went to jail for years ago. I mean, what the hell is this? And so to me, I'm like, the most important work that I feel like I can be doing right now is getting everybody on the same page, seeing that the divide is real. It really is happening, helping people to understand what the divide is about, and then perhaps we can get the attention of the president and the administration and correct course to some degree. But, we should have been focusing this whole last year and a half on mass deportations, making sure that the border is ironclad secure, and getting the American people, the economy on track, making life affordable, coming up with solutions to make the American dream attainable to young people who feel like that there's absolutely no hope. They don't think that they have a future. They don't think they're ever going to be able to buy a home. They don't think that there's going to be a job market available to them with AI and H-1B visas and immigrants. We're not deporting millions of
Absolutely. Well, Trump's made statements like, I don't even think about the average American's economic problems. I don't care about Medicare and Medicaid. All I care about is war.
I say this all the time. No matter how I feel about how things are going right now, one thing I'll always say is that I will always thank President Trump for being the person who got me to see that there is such a thing as fake news and propaganda. I would not have walked away from the Democratic Party if Trump hadn't run for office. But the problem with that is that Trump sort of woke everybody up. And Trump got everyone to see things are not what they think they are with our government. They're not what we think they are with the media. But then it's almost like they forgot that they woke us up. And now they feel like they can just kind of keep repeating these talking points to us that are obviously not true. And we know what they're doing, and we know that what they're saying to us isn't real, isn't true. You know, when you're telling us like, oh, the economy's never been better and that people have never been thriving and business, people are not feeling that and they're not seeing it. And they know exactly what you're doing.
Real time.
What?
Uncensored. Unstoppable.
No.
AlexJonesLive.com. Take a stand. Share the link.
You want to fight? You better believe you got one! Well, I've known Brandon Strong for, I don't know, 8 years, 9, 10 years. He's been a big Trump supporter, so have I. He was also there on J6. They tried to throw him in prison for no reason. And, you know, he has since then, he's always been popular, but I got to tell you, he's just everywhere. Tens of millions of views every day. Elon Musk reposting him. Just doing really good commentary on the insanity in the world. You see a lot of his clips here, so I wanted to invite him on the show just to get his 35,000-foot view of the midterms on Trump, because I think his views are really similar to mine. I'm not throwing the baby out with the bathwater, but I'm really concerned about the Epstein cover-up.
It's not just our
I'm really concerned about the Iran war. I'm really concerned about Israel primarying our people and really throwing its weight around. Straka put out a video today. It's gone viral. Because you see this everywhere where the Israel influencers were given $1.3 billion Israel funds in the last year. They admit that. To pay influencers here. Netanyahu has all these secret meetings with Chatham House Rules where he meets, you know, dozens, sometimes hundreds of influencers at hotels here in the U.S. And citizens can have their pro-Israel view if they want, just don't be on the payroll of a foreign government while you accuse us of being Qatari. So there's so much to get into. You got this house of horrors with 16 children found in a 12 by 12 room that couldn't even talk. It seems like every week they're finding one of these dungeons, a lot of pedophilia. I mean, just to get into the, there's so much to hit here, so much to go over with Brandon. Find him on Brandis Rock, that's STRAKA, and he found the Walk Away campaign early on and got a lot of people that are, you know, gay who don't support all the insanity of the left to walk away. A lot of Democrats to walk away. Very successful. He got targeted by the left, and he joins us right now. So, Brandon, great to have you. I threw out a lot there, but go wherever you want first, because you're you know, on so many levels, hitting on all cylinders. But maybe we should just start with your overall view of where America and the world is today, and Trump in the midterms. Great to have you with us.
Good to be back with you again, Alex. So the first thing I want to do really quickly is just make a minor correction on something you said there, because a lot of people make this mistake. Walk Away has not been and has never been a movement specifically for gay people or the LGBT community. Since day one, Walk Away has been a movement for all people, and it began as a movement to walk away from the Democratic Party. We've had phenomenal success with the Black community, the Hispanic community.
Oh, I want to be clear. I want to be clear. I guess CNN and the media made it kind of about that.
The wind is so loud we can hear it down here. I'd say keep your eyes open, but good luck with that.
No, that's okay. I mean, I think that kind of happened because Walk Away, especially in the early years, was phenomenally successful, and then everyone kind of started their own Flexit and Lexit and this, and then I think people just thought, oh, well, Walk Away is for gay people, but it's always been for everybody. And so that kind of leads me to the other part of your first question, which is, we're still doing really great work with Walk Away. We're still very, very busy, but to be honest with you, I've had to kind of pivot a little bit because we don't really live in times right now that are as simple as they used to be, where this used to be sort of a left versus right paradigm. I'm actually starting to question if it was ever just a left versus right paradigm. I'm starting to question more and more every day if the war has always been more vertical than horizontal, people on the ground versus the power structure, as opposed to left versus right. Maybe that was always a little bit of a facade. But nonetheless, a lot of the work that we're doing right now is covering what we're calling the Great MAGA Divide. That a lot of people right now are actually walking away from MAGA, and they're not becoming Democrats, they're not becoming socialists or leftists. They're actually wanting the America First movement that we were promised, and a lot of people are questioning if they're getting that right now, and I'm finding myself in that camp as well.
Well, I've been following your stuff basically almost daily ever since you blasted off the scene. You're right. you have so many people who walk over the Democratic Party. The media would,
I'll get you up
they
at
focus a lot on the
quarter to
gaming
eight,
left
okay?
as well. But you got so many blacks,
Here you go.
leftists, you name it. Because the Democratic Party
What
was
is
so
it?
corrupt,
Look.
so obvious, they were so
Look.
racist, they were so divisive.
Look.
And now I've noticed that you are seeing walk away
Look.
from being establishment and have been critical of Trump to a great extent. I
Look.
still see so many other Republicans that are running is much better than the Democratic Socialists. So I overall
Beware.
still support the Republicans. Think they should vote. They need to check each candidate. Obviously, not support Lindsey Graham or Thune or even neocons like that. But at the same
Make
time,
sure you have your eyes
put pressure on Trump. This Israel first chance thing. It's just like I've seen we're able to actually push him off of mistakes he's made. A lot of black pillars get mad at me and they say, no, you're kissing his ass. You shouldn't support him and then praise him when he does something good. We should just totally turn on him. Well, I mean, he's turned on a lot on his face.
shoes are
Us
you
putting pressure on him and the Republicans
shoes and wear
to do the right thing. It's a no-brainer. We should keep on having a just talking going that, oh no, we shouldn't praise that when it's good. You should just bash. And I know you've noticed that as well. How do you threaten these?
Well, okay, so what we've been doing with Walkaway is this series that we're calling the Great United Divide debate. We've been having people, it's right versus right, essentially. Most of the people in these debates, at one point or another, were firmly behind Trump and firmly behind the MAGA movement. Some of them still are. Some of them, like I said, have walked away and now consider themselves to be America first. But what we're trying to do
And by the way, those are super viral. I should have raised that. I mean, Walkaway was a super hit, scared the Democrats so mad, it really helped Trump win. Definitely this last time. And yeah, you watch these super viral debates that really spotlight. The real fight is America first or Israel first, isn't it?
That's a huge part of it. That's a huge part of it. And I'll tell you what, exactly the reason why we decided to do this. So, many months ago, 8, 9 months ago, whatever, a lot of the noise started being made about the fracture within the movement. And of course, on one side, you've got Carlson, you've got Alex Jones, you've got Megan Kelly, on the other side, you've got Mark Levin, and a number of other people. And I was visiting my parents probably 6, 7 months ago, and I was saying, hey, what do you think about this big feud that's happening in MAGA and Tucker versus Mark Levin? And my mom was like, what are you talking about? And by the way, my parents are very, they watch Fox News every single day, many hours a day. They're on Facebook, so they're not like uninformed people, but they're definitely living within a bubble that a lot of boomers are living within. And it became clear to me, I was like, wow, she doesn't even know what I'm talking about. So I said, do you ever go on X? Do you ever? She's like, no, not really. We mostly just kind of sit on Facebook. So I got her X account. I got my dad's account. I followed a bunch of accounts on both sides. And all of a sudden, she started asking me a million questions. What is this? What is that? Why are they fighting about Israel? You're telling me that people are not siding with Israel? We're always supposed to side with Israel. And I was like, holy cow. And I started to realize that this divide that's happening within the conservative movement, it's not just ideological, it's generational. And if you're over the age of 65, you're living in a completely different world than people who are under the age of 30. And then I'd say any of the age group in between is a little bit split, but I'd actually say maybe under 50 or more kind of pushed toward the America First side. And so to me, I was like, this is so interesting that, I'm just obviously backing the same political party, but there's factions that don't even, one hand is not even talking to the other. And so I was like, we got to sit people down. And so the first debate that we did was boomers versus millennials, which that one was phenomenally successful. But we had 3 really intelligent conservative baby boomers versus 3 very intelligent conservative millennials. And, it was like they were speaking 2 different languages. And I thought this was really fascinating. And the really interesting thing is when I announced we were doing this, my Facebook audience, which is older and more conversation and doing this debate, but we're going to keep doing it. We're going to keep having these conversations because I agree with you completely. As angry as people in the conservative movement are getting at people who are being critical of President Trump, or I would say just demanding that he keep his promises, I think it is getting through and it is working. I mean, I think that we're actually impacting decisions that President Trump and this administration are making by forcing them to be accountable for the campaign promises that they made to all of us.
Well, let's talk about that, because you're a really astute guy. I want to get your view on this. Mark Levin, Ben Shapiro, and the Israel lobby have got $1.3 billion last year officially from the government. There's a lot more than that from private interest to engage in the 8th front in the war that Netanyahu announced a year ago. And they admittedly, talking points have come out. Trump's chief of all social media, what Republicans they offered him last year, $20 million a year. That's $2 million a month to put out talking points that they gave them. And you did a video on that we'll play in a moment today that actually shows just a snapshot of how in live time, at the same time, we're all posting basically word for word the same psyop statement. And again, just be honest about it, okay? And we're not going as far involved in our politics. Supposedly the Russians do it with no evidence. Well, this is real. Israel doesn't hide it. And so Levin was smart. They were smart. They came out and attacked us, called us low IQ, called us Iranian agents, Qatari agents. A lot of people took the bait, yelled at Trump. He then called us low IQ and called me fried and low IQ. I didn't take the bait. I just said Trump will probably wake up that this war is going to fail and that it's hurting the economy and it's killing the midterms. Now Trump's kind of pulling away. But the point is that it was very smart when all these never-Trumpers came in and acted like they were the good guys. We were attacking Trump when we were actually trying to get him to course correct. And a lot of people took the bait to get really pissed at Trump. And again, I'm not kissing Trump's ass. I was never MAGA. I'm 1776. I'm all for making America great again, but I came before this and I'll be there after it. I'm about making America free and prosperous and just and decent, not just great. You're not the cool kid club. You're not the Jeffrey Epstein, Howard Lutnick table of Trump anymore. No. Trump, I'm glad, separated himself from me because I'd already done it, but I'm still there trying to influence him. But what can you say about the genius of the Israelis tricking so many people and then tricking Trump into turning against his main base, which now killed him at the polls?
Yeah, so to answer that question, let me just take a step back really quickly and remind people that 8 years ago, I walked away from the Democratic Party. I was a diehard Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, Democrat Party leftist supporter. And when I discovered the propaganda, the manipulation, because as a Democrat, I fell for all of it. And I believed when I walked away and I came over to MAGA, because that happened around 2017, 2018, I started walking away in 2018, I thought I was coming to the side that cared about facts over feelings. That's what I was told. This was the facts over feelings, people. I was told this was the side that doesn't fall for propaganda. We do our own research. We do our own homework. We don't fall for the brainwashing narratives, all the stuff. And for many, many years, that seemed to be true. And what I'm finding right now is that I feel really betrayed in many, many ways because I lost just about everything. I lost my friends. I went to jail supporting President Trump. My reputation has been destroyed. I nearly lost my organization from mass deplatforming after January 6th because we
forget you were one of the most targeted people with deplatforming. And now look at Laura Loomer was too, but now she's for deplatforming. I'm so sad for her.
Yeah.
You've never changed your values, but you got put through hell. That would be a whole show.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I banned from banks, banned from payment processors, banned from email services, banned from social media platforms. And, still, I stayed with this movement. I stayed with this president. I continued to campaign in 2024, believing that this was the same MAGA that I was behind back in 2018, 2019, 2020. And what I'm finding now is that the behaviors that so many people in this movement are engaging in are identical to the left that I walked away from.
Bingo, let me interrupt. They literally use the Sandy Hook talking points on me. High-level influencers, national hosts, low-level, and they use all the other same leftist tropes that I'm not see. And it's exactly the left's playbook.
No, that is one of the most insane things when I'm watching people who are diehard conservatives and people who are Trump supporters literally calling people Nazis without any sense of irony that this is exactly the behavior that we used to object to the left doing, because not only is it not true and not only are you assassinating people's character, but you're actually putting people in danger. I mean, the number of times I've been chased down the street, that I've been physically assaulted, or everything I went through with January 6th or anything else, that all ties to mass hysteria that's created when
bring
you
anything
falsely
to work?
No, I
designate
don't.
somebody as a bigot or a racist or a Nazi, and you instill that kind of fear in people.
Because you're saying
And
it's
you're-
okay to punch a Nazi, and when they call you a Nazi, it's okay to hit you in the head with a brick.
Yeah, now our side is saying that too. And you know, and your thing isn't that clever that they found this way to kind of flip the script. I mean, yeah, I guess so. But when the left does that, we call that rules for radicals. And we acknowledge that this is a very Marxist way to behave and that we shouldn't be embracing this kind of behavior in this country. Essentially what they've done, okay, I'll tell you something. When they started using that term woke right, like, I don't know, a year ago, 2 years ago, whatever, I kept reading it going like, I don't get it. Like, I'm not a total idiot. Like, I literally don't get what this means. And I kept asking people, like, what do they mean when they say woke right? Well, I'm not getting it. And people would explain it, and I'm like, I still don't get it. And it wasn't until they started turning on me that I realized, like, oh, it doesn't actually mean anything. It's just something that they're making up to try to silence people who are dissenting.
Exactly. A year ago, Netanyahu, in that speech, the first one he gave, we're launching the 8th front in the war, when he's telling all the Zionist, Christian Zionists, he says, we're going to use the term woke right, meaning Hitler, on anybody that disagrees with our war. And just cold-bloodedly, they know it's not true.
Yeah, and now this has been embraced by a huge sect of the conservative influencer movement. Like you were talking about that post I put out yesterday, a number of large accounts on X, and I'm sure it's more than just the 4 I mentioned, literally writing identical language. And look, okay, it would be one thing if it was White House talking points, you know, if they were all putting out the same messaging about America or President Trump. It's about a foreign country. It's about a foreign government. I mean, they're all working in lockstep and putting out unified messaging about a foreign country. And I'm like, what? How is this America first? How is this the MAGA movement? I'm like, what is this? This is nothing like what I signed up for, and nothing like what I lost all of my friends and went to jail for years ago. I mean, what the hell is this? And so this is what I want to focus my time and energy on with my organization, my activism, and what we're doing. Because look, a lot of people, you know, and people who are angry at me right now are going, you know, why are you doing this? Why are you creating more division? You should just be out fighting the left like you always do. And I'm trying to explain to them, and again, this is where we're living in different bubbles. I'm like, you guys are not getting it. If the midterms were tomorrow or if they were next week, I think that the majority of people under the age of 30 wouldn't even vote at all. Many of them might even come out and cast a protest vote for the Democratic Party. And I do think we've lost libertarians. I think we've lost independents. I think that we've lost a lot of young people. I think the only people who are firmly still behind the movement now are mostly Zionists or boomers. And I don't think that they're getting it. And so to me, I'm like, the most important work that I feel like I can be doing right now is getting everybody on the same page, seeing that the divide is real. It really is happening, helping people to understand what the divide is about. And then perhaps we can get the attention of the president and the administration and correct course to some degree. But, you know, we should have been focusing this whole last year and a half on mass deportations, making sure that the border is ironclad secure, and getting the American people, the economy on track, making life affordable, coming up with solutions to make the American dream attainable to young people who feel like that there's absolutely no hope. They don't think that they have a future. They don't think they're ever going to be able to buy a home. They don't think that there's going to be a job market available to them with AI and H-1B visas and immigrants. We're not deporting millions of
Absolutely.
immigrants.
Well, Trump's made statements like, I don't even think about the average American's economic problems. I don't care about Medicare and Medicaid. All I care about is war. And Alex Brusilowicz, Trump's speechwriter, head of all social media, again, he said that a year ago, the Israeli government offered him $20 million covertly, $2 million a month, to work for them and propagandize Trump. That's illegal. That's espionage if the Russians or Chinese or anybody else does it. And that's what you're saying. This is a crazy national security issue. Israel is another country. They're in the Defense Authorization Act trying to merge and marry is the word they use, and synergistically our military. I mean, that is such a big deal, and you couldn't be doing anything more healthy spotlighting that, because it's killed Trump in the polls, this Israel first stuff. I want to play a clip of that report you put out where you highlight just a snapshot of 4 accounts at the same time saying basically the exact same thing. And I even like some of these people on most of the issues. But sorry, you need to, like a NASCAR, put a big Star of David on you so we know who you're sponsored by. Here it is.
Does anyone else find it a little bit crazy when a group of influencers has the exact same thought at the exact same time? What are the odds of this type of organic synchronicity? It really needs to be studied by science. An example of this phenomenon happened just today. The accounts of Ian Miles Chong, Will Chamberlain, Captive Dreamer, and Sam all had nearly identical wave patterns. Completely organically, Ian Miles Chong wrote, "Anti-Semites are turning me into a Zionist. Their low IQ energy is too much for anyone intelligent to handle." Somewhere else in the world, Will Chamberlain happened to think to himself at the same time, "Really starting to feel like all the anti-Semitism out there is turning me into a Zionist." And like a cognitive ping pong ball, Captive Dreamer somewhere else in the country are turning me into a Zionist. Their low IQ energy is too much for anyone intelligent to handle. Remarkable.
Now, what you spotlight here, we're going to break here in a moment, is going back to the Sandy Hook thing. It didn't happen. Covered other people a few times saying it. People did Google searches in the first 6 years of it. I was never in a news article about it. Didn't get banned on X or over that. They just made it up later, raised money. And some days there would be thousands of articles via the Google search in the news. It would say some days 32,000 articles, just APs in every newspaper and TV station. So it'd give 25,000 would be an AP article. There'd be thousands of other lone articles, TV shows everywhere. And it would say he attacked their house, he peed on graves. And I would notice the publishing time would all be within seconds of each other because we had, later on it was a PR firm, the Democrats, with the DOJ and CIA involved in my court, and they were paying them to send it out and all publish it at once. And that's what we're doing out here.
At least I give Will Chamberlain a little bit of credit because he took the message that they were sent and at least kind of reworded it a little bit. I mean, it's incredible to me the laziness on top of that the other three literally just copied and pasted the message and published it without, they probably didn't even read it, honestly. And so I don't know who's giving this directive to them and what they're being compensated, who they're being compensated by to do this messaging. But again, this is propaganda on behalf of a foreign nation. And you have American influencers taking the bait and doing this and putting out this messaging, and it's, I mean, what the hell? I just think it's crazy.
While they call us Nazis, and while they claim we're on the Qatari payroll.
Right, exactly right. They're claiming that anybody who points this out is doing that because they're the ones being paid by Middle Easterners and Arabs and Muslims to overthrow America.
We'll be right back. Brandon, stay right there. We're extending America's 250th meg sale, the biggest in the history. TheElephantStore.com. That means this Monday at 6, Tuesday the 7th, midnight sale, biggest sales ever. Buy one, get one free. 60% off. Pay for your apparel, 50% off, and more. Take action now at TheElephantStore.com. Have you noticed all the big universities and corporate media and governments around the world run down America all day? That's because the American system stands against the globalist system. And as the public figures that out, their corrupt, tyrannical, oppressive, communistic, anti-human death cult can't compete with what America stands for. And we stand in the shoes, on the shoulders of our forebears. Whether you're black, white, Hispanic, old, young, if you love liberty and freedom, and if you want to be free, and if you want to control your own destiny, you believe in meritocracy, then America is for you. It's under attack because the idea of it stands in the way of the enemy. And America is a dream. Just like a dream to get married, or a dream to start a business, or a dream to write a poem, or write a song. And when you do that, those dreams come true. But we have to breathe life into those dreams. They want to kill those dreams. Don't let them break your will. Be proud to be an American. And know people around the world still love America. Understand it's the globalists that have hijacked us. And we're in the process of taking our country back from the Chi-Coms and the Israel lobby and the globalists in Hollywood and the left and all of them. And that's why it's so important to to support the next leg of the info war at AlexJonesLive.com. And, of course, at the AlexJonesStore.com with the widest selection of Patriot apparel, the best supplements, collectible knives, the best water filtration, and more that will empower and enrich your life while keeping this beacon of truth on the air as we accelerate into the future and as the Great Awakening prepares the final defeats of the globalists and their Great Reset. I salute you all. This is 1776 2.0. We're unstoppable together. God bless you all. Take action now. Man, I gotta get Brandon Strzok.
Discover trends and global developments years before they happen, right here on the Alex Jones Show.
I mean, I've always been a fan of Brandon Strzok, but I'm like a daily fan now. I watch all his videos. I actually go to his X account, which I don't do a lot, and I see it everywhere. So he's been successful, but is it fair to say you're more successful than you've ever been? Because that's exciting. And I mean, I'm not kissing your ass. It's true. You've always been very eloquent, but it seems like you've leveled up. What's happened with you?
I don't know. Do I think I'm more successful? I never think of myself as successful, so I can't answer that part of it. But I will say...
well, I mean, successful in getting the truth out. I mean, you're kicking ass, bro.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Look, I'll tell you this. I've become a little bit black-pilled, okay, about politics on both sides of the aisle. I don't have a lot of faith and belief these days in Republicans. I definitely don't have any love or faith or belief in Democrats. And so what I'm trying to do right now is just put a lot of focus on the culture and focus on getting people to identify the ways in which we're being lied to, manipulated, that we're being deceived with propaganda. And I'm sorry, unfortunately, it's happening on both sides. And that's been the really ugly discovery that I've made, at least in this administration. I didn't see it as much the first time around, but I'm seeing it a lot. So yeah, what I'm trying to do now is just like take a lot of stories that I'm seeing trending in the news, break them down in simple, little quick, 60-second, 90-second videos for people. Let them know this is what's true, this is what's not true, this is how they're lying.
And it all makes sense, and it's all really, no one can disagree with you. You're doing a really good job, and you also got viral debates going on. You're doing great man on the street interviews. I always praise people that are knocking it out of the park. But this is the time to take our country back. Well, there's a fourth turning. The whole world's waking up. The globalists admit that. When do you think Trump started to go sideways? It's 4 or 5 months in. All of a sudden with Epstein and then the Israel thing. What do you think happened to Trump?
So I thought he started to go. Look, I was concerned right out of the gate because I didn't love a lot of the administration picks. I wasn't thrilled about Pam Bondi immediately. I've never been a fan of Kash Patel. I don't like Dan Bongino. I've never liked Dan Bongino. I've never told people the story of how he completely left me hanging during January 6th when he had his podcast.
Tell us.
Yeah, happy to. When I got arrested for January 6th, so people need to understand too, this was at a time when I was like a regular face on Fox News, all of the conservative mainstream media. But the second that I got arrested for January 6th, and just so people know, I didn't enter the Capitol, didn't engage in any violence. I never even should have been arrested or charged with anything because I didn't commit a crime on January 6th. They came after me because of who I am and what I do and for no other reason. And it was really, look, it was bad for everybody. So I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, I had it worse than other people. I'm not saying that. But I am one of the few people who was going through what I call the trifecta. I was charged with criminal charges. I was charged, civil case was brought against me by a Soros-funded nonprofit law firm. They went out and found 8 or 9 Capitol police officers who were black and represented them and sued me under the KKK Act, alleging that I was a white supremacist who went to the Capitol to deprive black officers of their civil rights. And then I also got subpoenaed by the January 6th committee. So I was drowning in hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal bills because I had to hire lawyers to deal with all of this. And the conservative movement wouldn't platform me for the most part. There were a few people, but I was reaching out to everyone being like, I'm dying here. I'm getting the hell kicked out of me and I need help. And so I went to Dan Bongino many, many times and I kept messaging him and I said, dude, I need help, please. And every once in a while he would respond to me and he would be like, write me back in a couple of weeks. And then one time he said to me, well, if I can find a few minutes on the show, I'll have you on. This went on for 2.5 years. And meanwhile, every time he would go on his show every day and talk about January 6th and talk about these people who are, the victims of Biden's weaponization. I'm like, dude, you've got a really well-known person who this is happening to, exactly what you're talking about every day, and like, let me tell my story. And so I ran into him at Mar-a-Lago. Tucker had me on after I went through my whole case and after I went through my house arrest. Tucker sat me down for like an hour, and I ran into Dan Bongino, and he came up to me and he said, "Oh, I saw your interview with Tucker. You did a really good job." And I was like, "Thanks, man." I was like, "Do you think I could ever, get my story out on your platform?" And he was like, "Oh, yeah, shoot me an email." So I shot him an email, and he did the same thing. And long story short, never did a thing for me. And then when he actually had an opportunity to go in and be a part of the FBI and actually go in there and identify the people who made January 6th happen.
He did a total 180 on everything.
Everything.
Everything. Listen, here's my deal on Bongino. He's a liar. He literally 3 months ago, and I'm not whining about myself. I'm like, it's like you're got a lake and you put buoys up where there's rocks. I'm just like, look out. This guy, or you're not going to kill a beehive, so you put a sign up saying, "Warning, don't run lawnmowers over here." It's like, warning, beehive. He literally goes on there and says, let me tell you a story about Alex Jones. I was on a show 10 years ago, and he came on there in the break and said, "Let's lie to the audience and make up a story." He said, "I don't want to lie." And Joe said, "No, this gets publicity." And so I went on the show, and I shouldn't have done it. 100% made up. 100, the truth. Even people working here then knew that. He came on 4 or 5 times. I was promoting him running for Congress. The guy, and now I've learned he's done this to all these other people, these FBI agents that gave him all the whistleblower stuff, Carl Seraphin and others. Yeah. He then would go testify secretly to Congress when he's getting approved, saying, "Don't talk to them, they're frauds," and closed session, and then contact them and say, "This guy's working against you." So he's a double agent, man. He is bad. I mean, he is bad. He's a bad man.
Yeah, don't like him at all. Don't like him at all. And I had concerns right out of the gate because it seemed like Trump was in the administration with podcasters, cable news hosts, influencers, and all of these people, all of them I know personally. I've known them for many, many years. And I thought, okay, if this, first of all, it's bad enough that you're going to go down this road because this is really serious business. I mean, we're talking about weaponizing the DOJ, weaponizing the FBI, rooting out all of the bad actors in the government, getting rid of corruption. These are very, very serious people, and they need to have an extreme
Hold on, look at the 180. Oh, somebody that killed Epstein knew all the elements. No, I saw the file, he didn't. And then they put out fake video of a bunch of stuff. Then, Pennsylvania, Crooks acted alone. The guy Mar-a-Lago is known as intelligence and all those passports are money from Ukraine. And then on Epstein, on every front, cover up. I mean, it's such a disappointment that I figured out he's always been bad. He's a chameleon. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're fine. And yeah, and to your point, when he has come out since being in the FBI and done a complete reversal on all of these things that he helped build his audience and build his fortune by pushing these narratives when he was on his podcast. It's not just that he's doing a complete 180, but he's talking to everybody like they're stupid now for ever believing these things in the first place. I mean, it's like the gaslighting and the total propaganda and then calling all of us, doomers and panicans and, that we're all bad guys for asking these questions. Like, dude, we're asking questions about stuff you were talking about for years, and you haven't sufficiently explained to anybody why you've changed your mind about any of this stuff. You've done a complete reversal.
Same thing on Kash Patel. What a disappointment. But you never 100%. Liked him. I tried to like him. I mean, this guy is incredible. What do you think's going on with that guy?
I don't know. I mean, look, when I look at both of them, I see two people who I think wanted to go into the FBI and wear cool badges and wear cool uniforms and fly around on private jets and live like playboys and live, people ask all the time, well, do you think that, the deep state was exposed to them? Do you think they saw behind the curtain and they were scared straight and so they did? In my opinion, that gives them too much credit. I actually just think, I don't think they were ever serious in the first place. I think they wanted the attention and the eventual fortune that would come from being somebody who worked in the FBI under this administration, thinking that everybody was going to see them as some sort of national hero, and I don't think they had any intention of actually doing any of the things that they had said they were going to do.
That's my next point for you. You're astute on the smear take. And I had Mark Mitchell on, and the White House heard it. The vice president did it, flew him up there from the show. He met with him 3 hours an hour with Trump, total 3 with Vance, Wiles, and others. And to her credit, he was like, oh no, he needs to listen. Hurting you over here, and Trump really didn't listen, but now his poll numbers are like 30 from 58. We're going to lose the midterms. Now I know internally Trump is upset, but he can't seem to change course enough. He's criticized Netanyahu some. So it's so sad to watch Bongino and Patel destroy themselves like deer in the headlights and do all this and now be so unpopular and then pretend that attacking us is somehow meaning they're winners when you see Levin, Shapiro, both with big audiences, almost none. I mean, Shapiro's gone for millions of views per YouTube, like 5,000. Levin is in the toilet. They're all destroying themselves, and we needed them to be good and save the country, and they seem to be digging in. What do you make of this?
I don't know. I really think that this all backfired, and I say this all the time. You know, no matter how I feel about how things are going right now, one thing I'll always say is that I will always thank President Trump for being the person who got me to see that there is such a thing as fake news and propaganda. I would not have walked away from the Democratic Party if Trump hadn't run for office. But the problem with that is that Trump sort of woke everybody up. And Trump got everyone to see things are not what they think they are with our government. They're not what we think they are with the media. But then it's almost like they forgot that they woke us up. And now they feel like they can just kind of keep repeating these talking points to us that are obviously not true. And we know what they're doing, and we know that what they're saying to us isn't real, isn't true. You know, when you're telling us, oh, the economy's never been better, and that people have been thriving, people are not feeling that, and they're not seeing it. And they know exactly what you're doing. I love your point about the billionaires. I think that's been one of the biggest betrayals. Watching Mark Zuckerberg and Peter Thiel and all of these people that were at one time enemies to the administration, every Trump voter, I mean, all the people that met the platform, caused 10 times more damage to the January 6th defendants than they already would have been going through otherwise. And now they're pulled into the fray. I did one of my videos yesterday, like you were just talking about. Like, look, I'm not trying to just be a negative Nancy. I love how you always say you call balls and strikes. I'm trying to call balls and strikes too. I'm trying to give praise where praise is due. But President Trump came out yesterday and said he's working with Walmart for Walmart to lower their prices temporarily to make life more affordable for people. I'm like, okay, cool, that's great. Into the mom and pop shops and getting everyday Americans thriving. Why are we supporting billionaire conglomerates like Walmart when everyday Americans are the ones who need these breaks and need these incentives and get their businesses thriving? It just drives me crazy.
Trump needs to get back to more stuff like that. Some of the good things he's done, and that's my paradox. You see the Democrat Socialists of America, you see that they know it's all lies, offering them all this free stuff, and then I see the alternative, but then because I have integrity, and we already saw Trump slide so far, we got to get on his ass to try to get him to push back, and we've seen him slide back a little bit towards the good. Then I try to balance that, and then I catch myself because it's so horrific to watch Trump do wrong things that I can't stop talking about him, and then I talk a lot about the Democrats too, but how do you balance that? Because I mean, you go after the Democrats probably even more than you go after the Republicans.
Oh, yeah, for sure. The thing is, we have this very small window that's closing. The small window where we needed to be doing mass deportations. We needed to be de-weaponize the DOJ and FBI. All of these things, America First things that people know needed to be done. I just interviewed Joe Kent. I'm launching my own podcast here in a couple of weeks. One of the first guests I had was Joe Kent. And I asked him, I said, you know, we would need to deport at least like 15,000 people every day for the rest of President Trump's term if we were just to try to get rid of the people that Biden brought in here illegally. And frankly, it's probably even more than those numbers, but that's what we know of. And I asked Joe Kent, would that ever have been realistic? Honestly, sort of expecting him to say, look, it's really not that realistic. But I was a little bit shaken to hear Joe Kent say to me, we actually could have done that if we had come in hard on day one with a solid plan and made that our primary focus. He said, unfortunately, what we did is dedicate so much time and energy and resources to Iran, which he said has really been going on for over a year. It's not just this, few months that we've been at war, 3-4 months, whatever. He said this has been going on since last summer. But he said we could have gotten the job done if this had been the primary focus of the administration. And so I want to make every day count with the time that we have left. We've wasted too much time already. I don't think that we can accomplish everything that should have been accomplished, but we need to get in there and do what we can do with the time that we have left. And if we can change course, I think, and do a U-turn, then possibly we can look to 2028 and inspire people once again to get behind that. But I think for the midterms, I don't think it looks hopeful. Like I said, I think that we've really lost, the libertarians, the independents. I think we've lost a lot of young people. I don't see that changing, and I think that there's going to be a huge splintering after the midterms between what will be America First and what will remain of MAGA.
And that was my next question. A lot of people talk about a third party, but the way our system's set up, that's so hard to do, and that tends to keep the Democrats in, so it's kind of like cut your nose off to spite your face. But at the same time, we've got to punish neocon and rhino Republicans because our beachhead, it's gotten to be a majority, but it's still not enough so the Democrats can join the neocon. Notice, we don't have any influence. Alex Jones, Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, Nick Fuentes, you get listed in there, along with a lot of others. That's a diverse group of people with different ideas, but in general, we're being betrayed. We don't want Israel first, we want America first. And then the Mark Levins are by saying, you don't have any power, no one listens to you, even though our audiences are way bigger than theirs. And then they turn around and say, well, if we lose the midterms, it's your fault. No, these are all never-Trumpers that are in there knowingly destroying their own audiences. It's so unpopular. I mean, I'd say 80% of MAGA isn't liking this. I'd say half of those hold their nose. But I mean, still, this is devastating. We have the internal polls on the White House. I've talked to them. They know, and they're still going down this thing. So when the Democrats win the House and Senate and come after Trump and his family and everybody, they've already got investigations over billion-dollar deals for tungsten in Tajikistan with his son signed up for it with Ludnig's kids. The day after they hire their kids, Trump gives them a multi-million-dollar U.S. contract. I mean, this is crazy. And a lot of this insider trading and corrupt deals would make Nancy Pelosi blush. It would make, even the New York Post says, God, this is worse than Hunter Biden. And what are we just supposed to have no morals and say, well, he's our guy, so it's okay? I'm sorry. I'm pissed that this happened. I don't want to bitch at Trump. The Democrats want to put me in prison. They tried to put you in prison. I mean, but I mean, I cannot sell out. I cannot do it. I've had calls, almost a year ago when I started to really turn. As I come to the White House, come to Mar-a-Lago, we want to give you an award and all this stuff. And I knew what it was, and I just said, you know what the award is? And then boom, I'm retarded, I got a little. No, we were right about the Iran war. We were right about it killing the economy straight over Hormuz. We were right, they were wrong, and I think Trump needs to look in the mirror. Brandon.
Absolutely, and there's a few indicators here I think that people can look at too. So, for instance, if you go on YouTube, take a look at some of these debates Walkaway's been doing, read the comments. Thousands and thousands of comments. I mean, my team and I were shocked when we read them because a lot of they're MAGA versus America First. If there's 7,000 comments, maybe more than that, like 98% of them are people saying, I was firmly behind President Trump, I was firmly behind MAGA, I'm now identifying as America First because I'm not getting what I voted for. And look, I may be wrong, I've been wrong before, but I look at the results of Thomas Massey's primary and the breakdown, and that to me tells a very telling story about what I believe is going to happen in November. Because there's been this sort of like false sense of security a lot of people are lulling themselves into when they look at the primaries and saying, oh, these primary results are proof that MAGA is as strong as it ever was because all of President Trump's endorsements are winning their primaries. I don't think that that's a legitimate indicator. I think what the legitimate indicator is going to be is who comes out in November and how they vote. And I think a lot of people are going to be really shocked when that happens.
I 100% agree with you. And in a lot of these races, like Ken Paxton, he's endorsing the right guy. You know, in some it's wrong, Lindsey Graham and what happened in Kentucky. But looking at this and looking at what's about to happen to the Republican Party in the midterms, from the internal numbers I've gotten from pollsters in the White House, because they're really concerned if there are a lot of them are on our side, but if you criticize Trump, you get thrown out the door and basically fired. The numbers they have is they're going to lose like 30, 40 seats in the House, and the Democrats are going to probably gain the Senate by 1 or 2, so it's going to be close. And then a few of the Republicans vote with them, so, I mean, the Democrats are going to go on a jihad, and then you're going to probably get, they're saying 15 to 20 Democrat socialists elected. They're winning all the primaries right now. I mean, Brandon, this is going to be a disaster.
Yeah, it certainly is. And part of the reason, by the way, it's like a great mystery.
All right, his Zoom broke up. Let's reconnect with him so we can finish up. He's a real guy. He's a good guy. He's smart. And I see him getting demonized everywhere as well. But you heard the key point he made, or Brandon made there. I want him to finish his point. He's back. And we got to close out. Hopefully he'll come back soon, maybe even guest host sometime. Because he's doing top-notch work. I'm just pointing that out. It's always spotlighted with the best of the best. Is that I don't need to read a poll. I live in Austin, Texas. I travel around the country. Everybody I know were Trump supporters. Some weren't early on, but they didn't support Democrats. And when they persecuted Trump and tried to kill him and tried to put him in prison for no reason, he had that underdog folk hero thing, and he had the biggest support ever just 2 years ago. At least 80% of the Trump supporters I know are either done and disillusioned, or they're holding their nose and super pissed. And so that's like 40% of his people are gone. 80% are pissed. You heard Brandon, about 90% of the comments. You know, I see the same thing. So Trump, if he wanted to be unpopular and he wanted to become like the new Bill Gates or something, he's done a great job hitching his wagon to the Epstein cover-up. And I think that's the biggest thing that hurt him. Finish your other point, and I'd like you to address that, Brandon.
Sure. Basically, I think what I was saying was, and I missed a lot of what you said there because I froze up. But basically, to your point about, you know, on the one hand, this other side of the aisle wants to say that we're a small group of people. There's really no divide. We have no influence. It's just a bunch of podcasters and people making noise. On the other hand, they seem to be very aware that there is a problem, that trouble's lurking around the corner, and they're going to be planning to blame us when that happens. But the other point that I wanted to make too, because I hear this a lot, is when you start having conversations with these people and point out a laundry list of America First policies and principles that people voted for, that they really wanted, that they have not seen yet, these people always respond, yeah, but it's better than the Democrats. It's better than the Democrats. It's like, there's got to be a better standard than that. You can't, I didn't vote to make America better than the worst thing in the world. I voted to make America great. That was the promise. I want my country to be great. And the policies that I'm seeing right now aren't helping my country at all, aren't helping people who are struggling right now. We're sending billions and billions of dollars to people all over the world. I want to see the American people thriving. I want to see American businesses thriving. I want to see my country made great. That's what I voted for.
Exactly. I knew when Trump in the last 2 months made like at least 10 statements where I don't even think about the average American's economic plight. I don't care about Medicare and Medicaid. You know, everything's great. The economy's actually wonderful. Look at the stock market. When in the real world, I know it's rough, and the roughest has been in decades. And yeah, he inherited this. It was starting to get better. Now it's gotten worse because of the Strait of Hormuz. And I'm just sitting here going, if the Democrats sat around in a war room and said, if we could control Trump's brain and make him say things that hurt him, that we could put in ads. And when I saw him a month, 2 months ago at like 38%, I go, God, he'll be at 30 with these statements. And every time he did it, he'd go down a few points. I mean, he's blowing his feet off with a shotgun. It's insane. Why is he saying stuff like this?
Right. Oh, and the point I was making before about the Democrat socialists, it seems to be a great mystery for a lot of people. Like, why are people embracing socialism? I learned last year, I started a Defeat Mamdani effort in New York City last year. I was literally the only activist in the entire country doing something, and we built a massive coalition of thousands of volunteers out there fighting Mamdani, got zero help from the Republican Party. But one of the things we were doing was doing these street debates all over the city, just like on college campuses, but we were doing them on the streets of New York. And when people would approach the microphone and tell me they were voting for Mamdani, and I would ask them
Strzok. We'll be right back in 2 minutes. I'm Alex Jones. All right, Brandon Strzok got cut off by that break. We're going to go to break after he goes. I'm going to give the number out, take your calls, hit a bunch of other news I haven't gotten to. I got half the news I haven't hit yet. More stuff just broke. Just, anybody ever says this is a boring news day is living under a rock. But Brandon, continuing, you were getting into targeting Mondami. Where was the Republican juice? I saw like no response except I mean, they don't do anything.
No.
Continue.
Right. So, right. So we were doing these street debates in addition to a lot of other things, and having New Yorkers approach the microphone and asking them if they were going to vote for Mamdani. Some of them said yes, some said not. But the ones who did, like, I was fully prepared to go into this, like dig in my heels and fight and debate socialism and Marxism, communism. But I'm telling you, the majority of people who approached the microphone and said that they were going to vote for Mamdani were very moderate, reasonable people, and they were just saying, like, look, I'm working 2 or 3 jobs. I'm doing everything I'm supposed to be doing. I'm 40 years old and I still have roommates. I can't afford groceries. I can't afford gas. I can't afford this. And at least these, the socialists are offering some sort of relief for, and again, these are people who feel like they did everything.
They're addressing people's pain, which they used to do. Instead, he says, I don't care about any of your.
And now you look at our side of the aisle, we've got Caroline Levitt going on Fox News saying that anybody under the age of 30 are a bunch of spoiled, lazy, entitled people with a silver spoon in their mouth who don't know how to do a hard day's work. It's so out of touch. It's unbelievable how out of touch we are at this point. And the Democrats see it. They know how to message it. Their plan is terrible. It's catastrophic. But at least they see the pain, they identify it, and they message towards it. We're just making fun and further alienating our base.
Do you think I don't think Trump has dementia, but definitely he's old and I think, burnout comparatively, doesn't sleep. But I see the people in his administration, Vance has pretty good rhetoric, but like Levitt and them, exactly like, if, as I said earlier, if I came up with something to hurt Republicans, it's what they do. Why would they make these tone-deaf statements?
The best I can come up with is that they're still stuck in this era where the way to fundraise and the way to basically get a positive approval rating is to make the boomers happy. And a lot of what they're saying right now seems to be propaganda and messaging that is designed to make boomers either feel enraged or to make boomers feel somehow placated, that everything is okay. And boomers love hearing messaging like, oh, these younger generations just don't know how to work hard. They don't have motivation. They're not like you guys were when you guys were young. And I'm sorry, but it's totally stupid. I'm not Gen Z. I'm not even a millennial, but I recognize that these generations they're motivated, they're hardworking, they're entrepreneurial, they're technological, they want to succeed, they want to do well. They're not being given the tools that they need to thrive and do well in our economy. And we're focusing so much on trying to make, boomers, I guess, feel reminiscent of, a time in their lives when they were young and entrepreneurial, that we're completely alienating this younger voting base. And I guess I have to just assume that they don't realize times have changed and that they are trying to fundraise based off of this kind of propaganda.
No, I totally agree. That's what they say. And some boomers call and say, it's not all the boomers, but that's who voted against Massey. That, on average, the boomers are drinking the Kool-Aid. We're not blaming other boomers. My parents are awake. They're boomers. But statistically, those are the people that are kind of more Q-like and just think everything's fine. Trump's got it handled because they've got nicer houses and money. They made out good with inflation because their houses still have value. And so there's some young, lazy people, but some of the smartest people are the most entrepreneurial, and they know what's going on, and they are pissed, and they're not politically correct, and they don't give a damn. Brandon Strzok, you are doing a great job. I look forward to being involved in one of your upcoming debates. Find out everything you're doing at Brandon Strzok, at STRAKA, and at the Walk Away Movement, #WalkAway on YouTube. God bless you. Thanks for the time. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks a lot, Alex.
Brandon Strzok. We're extending America's 250th mega sale, the biggest in the history, thealexshowstore.com. That means this Monday the 6th and Tuesday the 7th at midnight central, the biggest sales ever, buy one, get one free, the 60% off the best-selling supplements, Patriot apparel, 50% off, and more. Take action now at thealexshowstore.com. No republic, no empire, no nation has ever survived more than 250 years. But America has to survive. The idea of America, having the right to lead your own life, to follow your own religion or not, so many things that this country has tried that no other nation had, became the model of the world. That's why the left, why BlackRock, why the globalists, why the WEF, why the UN openly want to discredit it. The elites don't like the idea of America because it allows the little people that meritocracy to develop their own wealth and their own independence. The globalists want neo-feudalism. They want serfdom. They want a great reset to control us. So they've been trying to undermine this country, demonize this country, and all the problems in the world on the freedom of religion and the West and Christianity and white people. But it's not working. The world is awakening to the Great Reset, and we are in the Great Awakening. That's why it's so important on our 250th anniversary that we remember what made America great and that we continue those values on in the face of tyranny. Because the ideas we're promoting work and are pro-human, are dynamic, and unleash the incredible competition of the human spirit and meritocracy. We don't stand up for not just 1776 here in the U.S., but worldwide. Then we allow the globalists, the megabanks, with their transhumanist, death cult, depopulation agenda to come in and sell their lie of collectivism, universal basic incomes, cashless society, control grids, the social credit scores, and the entire system of dehumanization that they're establishing. We are literally facing freedom or slavery. It's a choice we must take. So to celebrate this 250th anniversary, we have the biggest sale in the history of the AlexJonesStore.com. 50% off on all the incredible Patriot apparel, the widest selection, some of the best designs in the world. What an adventure to wear this apparel and meet like-minded people and spread the word. And then most importantly, the very best game-changing 5-star supplement.
Oh, my Lord.
Planet. Up to 60% off. I
lost my button.
Free. This Friday, Saturday, to Sunday. It's a flash. Ultimately,
oh my God, I'm gonna kill Sweet Revenge just for this annoying fucking microphone.
As I said, 60% off on all the other supplements. The lowest is 40, the highest is 60. These are insanely good.
After you count,
We have over a 90% pre-order rate at the Alex Show store. And anyone should be a VIP. Absolutely. It's $30 a month. Insulin in your charge.
oh my God.
If you're a VIP. So become a VIP, commit to the American Republic in the year.
Everybody okay?
Help keep the
You got a Patriot?
network. It's a win-win.
Yeah, I gotta
Celebrate
someone outside.
against the globalist death cult. Please support your own future and my future. Together.
Yeah.
Salute all of our founders, our veterans, and all
Fuck you.
we're extending.
You're getting a bunch of cunts and teaming and fucking duo solos. I guess that's how it goes, eh, y'all?
I could care less. I have 170 guns.
I mean, at least Sweet Revenge is not, because that son of a bitch's mic is horrible. Okay, knock me out. Get me out of here. Nice fit, by the way.
Wah wah, you sucking cunts can't do shit.
Who's all my weapons?